What's up, everybody? We're getting going here in just a moment. This market is getting a little spicy. It's coming to the point in the market where some people are going to absolutely wreck their futures and other people are going to take advantage of this and absolutely change their life. We've got a jam-packed show today, breaking down some of the things in the market. We had a little bit of a bounce, starting to look like a little bit of a trap. How can we distinguish when this is actually going to go? We're going to jump into this here in just a moment. We got a great guest in the house today. Everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Welcome to the BitLab Academy daily stream. My name's Kelly Kellum. We got some things to talk about today. The market is doing its best to shake you off of it and destroy your future, but you have the opportunity to absolutely change your life if you do not pay attention to the emotions that this market is signaling, because we have some signals right now where we had a little bit of a rise up in price action, not only on Bitcoin, but some pretty big gains up on Fetch, on Objective, on Near, on AGIX, and a number of other coins. But we've also had a couple of very big things that are very notable to talk about. And our guest is going to be bringing that up here in just a few minutes, but we got to cover some of these things first. First things first, have you hit that like button? Have you hit that subscribe button? Have you dung the bell? Is that how you say it? You dung it, right? It's past tense. Well, first things first, let's go ahead and look at this. This is from Scott Melker, showing that we have a bit of we had some bullish divergence brewing here that was very weak, meaning that the price here on the Bitcoin price, we have a lower low here while the strength had a higher low. But this has now been sort of discredited or essentially invalidated by these highs here now having lower highs, but the strength here has higher highs. So there was more strength involved, but the price could not even get to the previous high. This is showing some weakness in the market. We got to talk about it. We got to talk about some of the things here. So let's come over here to CoinMarketCap. Look at this. Now we're still hovering in that 2.36. We are at 2.38. Remember, only a few days ago, we were up over 2.6 trillion. So we've had some movement in the markets. Some people are making money. A lot of people with poor strategy are losing money, wondering why this market is a scam. I can tell you right now, this market is not a scam. If you're losing money, it's because your strategy or lack thereof is a scam, okay? We have plenty of opportunity in this market, and right now the name of the game in this market is patience. And I've been screaming this from the hilltops all the way since back here, April 19th. I talked about this zone right here. Let me see if you guys can still hear me when I... So as you can see right there, we have the price action. As it post-halving tends to go sideways, 40 to 150 days. And where we're at right now, we're only 62 days. It doesn't feel like it in the midst of it because we're thinking all the way back here. When we're looking at the halving here, this is where that happened, April 19th. We're 62 days in, which is still on the very, very minimal side of that range that we discussed. And we can also see this playing out in this chart right here. It's hard to see where, because my camera is below it, so I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. We can see this right here where the price action, this black line, this is where we're at in relationship to the previous cycles post-halving. We're completely on schedule. And yet we're wondering, why is this not moving to the upside? Well, we're going to be breaking down some TA at the end of the show, but we got some things we got to cover to talk about what the context is for what's happening right now. Because if you're just looking at price, you are stealing from yourself, because data is what's going to give you the better picture about what's going on. And when we look at this, we can see this, there's signal here in the weakness of the Bitcoin bears. What am I talking about here? The lack of the ability for the bears to really drop price substantially lower. We've seen in the previous cycles, for instance, if we come back over to this chart we were just looking at, when we look back in this cycle, actually, let's go to this chart right here. When we look back at this cycle right here, we had 8 instances of price action falling 26 to 40%. And yet, the fact that we've only had 20% drops along the way, and even where we're at right now, which is only about 10 or 11% off the high, shows lack of weakness in the bears. This is the signal. Checkmate here, who's one of the best on-chain chartists out there, says the Bitcoin bears seem to have no stones. Truly amazed how little the market has given back, meaning drops in price action over the last 18 months. So this is actually bullish regardless of our boredom with the price action not mooning right now. This is actually giving us huge opportunity if we choose to take it via the data versus being bored by the price. We can also see another massively bullish story here from Argentina's president says there will be free competition of currencies. So if you want to use Bitcoin, there will be no problem. This is going to be a growing story, the dominoes falling over the next 10 to 15 years. And El Salvador is the first one that is absolutely starting to carve the path on that. And we can see that not only their Bitcoin and currency strategy, but also what they're doing with crime and enforcement, and also just the complete reestablishment of their culture on the world stage. And part of that is stepping outside of the thumb of the IMF. Now, why is the price falling? Well, we can look to this chart right here, capital flow coming down. I know I've been sharing this regularly, but we got to keep this in our minds. We got to understand that the capital flow being low suggests that there's no fuel for upside price action. This is not the end of the road. We could see in previous cycles this revisiting. This is the cycle I think we're most looking like right now. And we see this comes back each time. Look, higher high comes back to the low. Higher high comes back to the low. Huge capital inflow and then a reduction of that capital on the pullbacks. We are completely on target here. And we can also see that some of those older whales have sold a little bit, but that's okay because we are on track over in, coming into Q3. Remember, into Q2 is the end of this month. So in about 10 days, it's projected that we're going to get that Fed cycle kicking back in with more flow into markets. This will be incredible for Bitcoin because we can see how beautifully the Bitcoin price tracks with the Fed liquidity delta. This is all incredibly bullish news, and we are still holding this short-term holder cost basis. Things are looking good. Make sure you're following me here at Kelly Kellam, Keloy, Kellam. There's so many fake profiles out there. And also make sure you're following here at Academy BitLab. But before we go any further, we're going to do a bunch of TA. We have a special guest in the house, and I'm about to bring her up because we have to talk about some other things in the market. I'm trying to do my best to provide other voices for you with different lenses on the market and getting a clearer perspective for both men and women and old and young and beautiful and ugly. All of us need to realize that there's different ways to interpret the data in this market. And so here we go. We got one of my favorites here in the house, Miss Melina. How you doing? Thanks for being back. How you feeling?
I'm so happy to be back. Thanks so much for having me. It's another crazy week in crypto. I feel like every week I tell myself it's going to slow down. Summer, it's getting warmer out. No, it's wild. It's wild. So we're having fun.
I agree with you. So last week we had you on. Everybody loved you so much. I just couldn't help but make sure we bring you back. And everybody, I think Melina has agreed this is going to be a regular thing. We might even be able to work her in to some more and other content, also some training content. I know she's also very interested and working through in her own portfolio and her own strategies, things like runes and talking about different aspects of the meme culture and also what's going on in this market. So your perspective right now, you saw a couple different news stories that kind of rose to the surface in your lens today. So what are you seeing today in the market that you think we should be talking about?
So much is going on. And I want to, go back to this whole conversation. I don't know if we talked about it last week, but in the meme coin world right now, we know that American politicians are the hottest topic right now. American politics, that doesn't beat any sort of celeb news at all right now. So earlier this week, we had this token called DJK. DJT, sorry. Yeah. DJT. Basically insinuating that, former President Donald Trump was launching a meme coin. And we had many people, his name is Martin Shkreli. If you guys don't know who that is, Martin Shkreli, you know what? Can I share my screen? Let's share my screen. Are we sharing my screen? Yeah, we are. Okay, good. So basically we have I like to call him a crypto investigator, Zach XBT, started investigating this meme coin because for the longest time the longest time in crypto, that was 2 days ago, we were speculating that Donald Trump was launching this meme coin. And it kind of jumped, it kind of made some moves for those who got in super early. But last night, and this morning really, but last night, Mario Nafal had Martin Shkreli on his show, and Martin Shkreli just kept saying, I'm friends with, the family, and I know them and whatnot. And basically, push came to shove, the information came out that Donald Trump has nothing to do with this. No one has anything to do with this. This is not true at all. And Martin Shkreli, for those of you who don't know, he had made his name for himself in the pharmaceutical industry, but he was also sentenced to 7 years of security for security fraud. Basically, he had cornered the market on this medication that he had jacked up the price to, I think it was 5,000%. So basically, always, make sure to do your homework. But what I wanted to say, because I want to explain how I'm seeing this sort of news come out and why I feel like it's very relevant right now, especially for those who are, wanting to make a couple of extra dollars. It's so easy, Kelly, to feel that FOMO because, we are, for instance, we're looking at Bitcoin, but it's going to take some time to see that 10x. But had you bought this coin, maybe you would have had that 10x, but it's so easy to FOMO in. And what I want to say is, it was so fast for the crypto community to come out and basically prove that this was not true. And I think right now, ahead of this election, what a lot of people in crypto want to make clear, right? Yes, we have a Bitcoin ETF. It's really great news. It's bullish, right? It's bullish for the industry. We're talking about an Ethereum ETF possibly coming out in July. It's bullish news. But at the end of the day, what I think most people in crypto want right now are clear regulations, because things like this keep happening. People are getting wrecked. So at this point, I was just so happy to see Zach XBT get on the pulse and basically prove that this was false, that this was not a Donald
let me ask
token.
you a question then. We just saw that the not cease and desist order, what was it? The letter that they're ending the enforcement action on Ethereum in regards to consensus. Do you think that meter kind of got moved and got pushed forward primarily because of the Ethereum spot ETF? And also, for instance, those like DZ pointed out on Discover Crypto, Larry Fink and Gary Gensler, but also Fidelity and some of these major players, seeing how much corporate money got invested in the Bitcoin spot ETF. And that probably was going to be very limited if there is still regulatory uncertainty around Ethereum being a security or not. Do you think that kind of moved the meter on that to benefit the Ethereum spot ETF?
I mean, yeah. The easy answer is yes, because I also heard Kathy Wood, from ARK Invest talk at Consensus and also say that she found it quite suspicious how fast this Ethereum ETF is moving. They are just removing a lot of the questions that they had for Bitcoin and a lot of this, having to prove why it's not a security. And she was just very suspicious as to how quickly the Ethereum ETF is moving compared to what it was like for Bitcoin. So I think easy answer is yes. I think at this point, I think it's hard to say that an Ethereum ETF is speculation. I think it's coming a lot quicker than we were expecting. So yeah, I just think they have no choice at this point, which is,
Yeah, no, I agree with that entirely. I wanted to throw it back really quick to the DJT comments because I think it's important for everybody. And then everybody that's tuned in, make sure that you're giving Melina a follow. I'm going to pull her thing up again right now. It's at girl_in_the_verse. You can see right there. Give her a follow. She's going to be a regular here on the channel. We're going to be doing some things together. She's got a lot of knowledge on this space. We're going to be doing a bunch more TA. We're going to be bringing up charts. We're going to be sharing some stuff here in a little bit, but we have to have some discussion about the context, what's going on in this market. So DJT, I was on the blockchain basement yesterday and we were discussing this. I think it's important that for everybody to realize the same type of person, whether or not that token was a scam or is a scam or not, the same type of person that bought the top of that likely would have bought the top in any asset. So it's a good indication for every one of us, whether you're an insider, whether you're not. Remember, you always have data that you can do some diligence on. Look at data, not buying just the top of a narrative because everybody's talking about it. And furthermore, because a name is the ticker, like DJT, of course, trying to relate to that Donald Trump narrative, it doesn't matter what it is. McDonald's token, I mean, name it, doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that team is involved. Always wait to see, look at data, buy early, and understand that there's an incredible amount of snakes in the garden right now in the crypto space. I saw a metric this morning. Over 1 million tokens have been made in the last year. And this is not, by the way, this is not including Solana meme coins.
Wow.
That's I saw that. Oh yeah. No, this is not including Solana meme coins. So everybody's trying to create the Beanie Baby sort of narrative with every single token. So this is a little bit of a stain on the space, which is why I don't talk about meme coins very often on this channel. The ones that I do, I have some direct knowledge of, or I've done deep due diligence on, and it's always a very minuscule percentage of my portfolio. So I just wanted to address that. Now, getting out of the meme talk, I know that you had saw some other things in the space you wanted to bring up as well regarding Polygon and some other stuff. So what do you got for us?
Yeah, I just, it's so interesting, Kelly, because I just feel like Polygon has sort of, and I don't want to say die out, but they just haven't been making headlines, right? So what I'm seeing now for Polygon, excuse me, we're calling it Polygon 2.0. And you know what? Let me share my screen here.
There's Polygon, everybody. Look at that. Look at that. Just setting up for opportunity, man. I think it's so undervalued right now.
What is interesting to me is that I was not aware that they had announced this June of 2023. So exactly a year ago.
Do you have it on your Do you have it on your screen? Because I still have the Arkham stuff.
Yeah, let me change it. I will stop sharing that. Now let me share my screen. Here we go. Okay. So as you can see here, and this is the MATIC, I guess kind of their website here. But what was interesting to me, sorry, you know what? Let me just drink some water. I apologize. The beauty of going live. So last year of June, they had announced that they were going to change the name of their token. So for all of you who are currently DCAing, listening to everyone here at the BitLab Academy, the tokens to look at, the coins to start probably DCAing into, we've talked about Polygon. The thing about Polygon, the difference here was compared to, let's say, Solana or Ethereum, right? Ethereum has an ETH token. Solana has a SOL token. Polygon had a MATIC token. So for a lot of, newbies, people just entering the market, they weren't making that connection. This is according to Polygon. They were seeing how people were enjoying Polygon, but not really sure that MATIC was the actual token because MATIC doesn't, it didn't make, people couldn't connect the dots. So last year they announced that they're going to change the MATIC token for a POL token, POL. We're not sure how we're going to pronounce it, but I'm just assuming it's going to be POL for Polygon. And now they're saying they're going to do this merge this year, Q2. So you can actually get notified. I actually put in my email. So for those of you who want to get notified,
that would suggest it's going to happen by the end of June.
Well, there you go. This is why I wanted to bring it up today, because I think it's super interesting because I was not aware a year ago that they were going to make this move. So, and it's happening this year. Now, the other interesting, this is what I found interesting. They're calling it Polygon 2.0, the benefits, right? So enhanced architecture and security, POL, this new hyper-productive token, and this new governance framework. So, and then, you guys can go ahead and read all of this, but basically what I understood is that they're going to try to compete with Arbitrum, which is super interesting. They're going to have this 2.0, zero knowledge proof generation. They want to participate in DACs. So it's going to be very interesting to see what this looks like, but you're right. It's probably this time, June 2024, Q2. It has to be soon. So something to consider. But what's interesting is that we're going to have to do this migration somehow. They're going to, just because you're holding MATIC right now, you're going to want to have to migrate it to POL. That's what they're hoping, is that people will migrate it. So is this going to happen? Are people going to do it? I don't know, but it's interesting. And if you guys want, I would say drop in your emails here and get the updates. But the other interesting news that I found out this week, so I'll share this tab instead. So you guys can see right now, right? So you see here, they are saying that Fox is now going to be partnering with Polygon. So they're launching this protocol on Polygon POS. Fox will use Polygon to build Verify, which is going to be an open protocol for content attestation. And Time, as in Time Magazine, will be the first external media company to utilize Verify. So just something to keep in mind, because I just think Polygon is something that we've been sleeping. I've been DCAing into, almost forgot about it. But now, again, Ethereum ETF on the way, Polygon making moves. I just think this is something we're sleeping. And, they got big names, right? Time and Fox. So I don't know. I'm pretty bullish.
Well, in addition to that, I don't know, just to remind everybody, check this out. This is why one of the reasons why I think Polygon and MATIC is so undervalued. These are some of Polygon's partnerships: Nike, Starbucks, MasterCard, Adobe, Disney, Meta, aka Facebook, Adidas, Mercedes, Reddit, Google Cloud. I mean, and we look at the price, and the price, it's like, if we come out to the 2-week chart, let's actually pull up MATIC on an older chart here. MATIC, crypto, Binance. Here we go. I mean, this has just been coiling, and I'm talking, this is a macro bull flag if I ever saw one. This is on a 2-week chart. So let's take a measurement there. Option T, top to bottom. The target on this, and now let's go conservative here. The target on this is $116. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, because this was obviously the initial hype. So you have to understand that, everybody, when you're doing targets like this. So what we can actually do, let's be a little bit more conservative. Let's just measure this, the width of this triangle there. The target on this is up here in the $8 range. So even more conservative, we can go somewhere in the, let's say, $4 to $5 range. That is still, from where we're at, that is a 10x from where we're at right now. I mean, from the $5 range, so 550 would be 837% gain to the upside. That's if we're doing the conservative measurements. And I think just like Cardano last cycle, if everybody remembers, look at Cardano last cycle, and people go, it's a stable coin, because it was not moving when everything else was. Let's go to the daily here. It was not moving. It was just like, oh my God, everything else is moving. And then it went from this bottom here to the top, and that is 38x to the upside. It's like, we can be a little bit more patient when we're seeing this diligence or the fundamentals building on something like Polygon. And I'm so happy you brought this up.
I mean, honestly, I've been sleeping on it. And to my surprise, this whole announcement of the migration of token, I just want people to understand it's going to be on us to do that migration, right? So you don't want to miss out. You don't want your MATIC that you've been holding on, DCAing, to get burned. I don't know what they're going to do there to incentivize people to do that migration, but it's coming very, very soon. So let's keep an eye on it. But I did want to, mention here, and I would invite, the YouTube community right now, drop it in the comments if you figured it out that Polygon was MATIC, because, they were saying that it wasn't made clear and that they had to just kind of rebrand. I'm curious to see if people knew that MATIC was Polygon. I'm just curious. I want to know if people had that, because they're changing their whole, it's a big deal to change your token name. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, Eagle did that. Eagle, EGLD, they changed their name about a year and a half ago now, I think, to Metaverse or Multiverse X. And it's kind of fallen at, to me, I have a split sort of idea about it, because if you're going to want to change branding, I think we're still early enough in the crypto evolution ecosystem to do that. But I do think there's a loss of brand recognition. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if that makes it fall out of favor, or if it's a narrative boost, because remember, Polygon is one of those sort of names in the space that everybody is aware of. So it probably will get very broad headlines, and people, I think it will. I think it won't have as much of a negative or potentially negative impact like we saw in Multiverse X. What else you got for us? Is there anything else you're looking at here that you wanted to share?
It's been really interesting, because we're seeing, and I know you want to get into the TA stuff, and we're going to talk about Bitcoin, but it's been so interesting, because I just scrolled, and I invite everyone to check your screenshots on your phone. I had a fun time earlier this week scrolling, and I found this video of mine that I did in March, where people were just asking me, am I too late to buy Bitcoin? Am I too late? And we saw this week, it kind of dumped, well, not dumped, but it went down a little, came back up today. We're also seeing MicroStrategy bought like quite a few shares of Bitcoin this morning. Let me go get that number, Kelly, for us. Very interesting to
I think
see.
it was $785 million worth. When he initially said 500 million, and then it came out he was raising 700, and then today he bought like 11,200 Bitcoin, which was almost $800 million. Talk about a giga, Chad. Holy moly.
And like, if this does not make you bullish, and basically my question being, I reposted this video yesterday on Instagram and Threads just to see, what those kind of communities are talking about. And it was very interesting to get the comments of, it's too late to buy Bitcoin at this price. Kelly, I don't think we're too late. I keep telling my friends who ask me, am I too late to buy Bitcoin? I tell them all, and I don't know what you think, but my answer is always, it's not too late, because you're right at the moment that you want to buy. So this is a good time for you.
I mean, I look at the chart, coming back over to this screen right here. I look at the chart, and everybody needs to remember, this just looks crazy. Let's double click here. So look at this giant bull flag. I mean, this is just consolidating. I actually tell people, this feels like, how could it go higher? It's at 70K. Stop looking at the price. Remember, Berkshire Hathaway in February was trading at $600,000 a share. That is a traditional asset that is not fractionalized. Bitcoin, you can buy any fraction of. The price is irrelevant, and it's finite. And you have, 3 to 5 million tokens that have been lost forever. So effectively, you have quite a bit less of a finite supply. You have institutions that just aped in. We have the structure of the bull market just absolutely ripping. And the best part of the market cycle tends to happen about 6 months after the halving, when you start to really get the parabola. So right now, I tell people this: if you have no idea, if you're scared, it's hard to buy down here. It is. It's hard to buy when price is falling. It's hard to buy even here because you think it's still going to fall back. But we are now eclipsing and challenging the previous all-time high. This is the best setup, even for a conservative trader. It all comes down to your time horizon. Most people steal their future from themselves because they buy and they expect it to go up tomorrow, and it might drop 5%. So they sell, and then it launches, and then they go, God damn it, what did I do? So let's stop doing that. Let's look at this data, realize that it is not too late to buy when you see institutions just now getting the early adopters of institutions just arrived, which means we have so much more capital coming to this market. Everybody in the chat, let us know, do you feel comfortable sharing the idea of Bitcoin with your family? Are you beyond that? Have they already bought? Do you think it's too late to buy? Do you think it's too early? Let us know what you think in the chat.
It's interesting. So I was just checking my comments. A lot of people were saying, no, it's not too late. Someone wrote, buy now, because at 64K, we know for sure it's going to 80K. So it's interesting. But then you always have the people on Instagram that say, well, it's a speculative asset class. Why are you buying this? It's going to zero. No, do not buy. Do it tomorrow. It's too late. And I just thought it was quite funny because I had filmed that video in March, and for me, it's still true in June. It's not too late to buy. We've got Chris here. What did he say? Happy solstice. Hey, Chris, GM.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm loving this new system. We can integrate everybody's comments, and I'm seeing everything you guys are writing. And just so you guys know, we're going to be hopping into TA here in just a moment, but we got to get the views from around the chain, get different voices and all these sorts of things. So if you had to buy one thing right now that wasn't Bitcoin, what's on your radar? Is Polygon on your radar because of that story? Do you have something else that's that you're looking at? What's wet in your beak right now?
Yeah, it's very interesting because the other night I actually had to do some real life things. And so I was telling myself, I'm going to go buy more Link, Polygon. And you know what? I am thinking, and I'm going to say this for the first time ever on YouTube, I'm thinking of DCAing into XRP. XRP is another one where I know, Kelly, this is not like me at all, but the rumors, right? Buy the rumors, sell the news. The rumors right now are that XRP is launching a stable coin in the fall. Now, don't
Ooh-wee.
quote me on this. These are the rumors. Um, and now that Ethereum is not deemed a security, people are speculating that this is going to make waves for XRP. Now,
Well,
I'm only,
I would give a little pushback in that
of course,
because of the institutional TradFi side of things and the
yes,
squashing of the CBDC narrative, which even people that didn't like it, some people that were buying XRP and Quant were
yep,
also somewhat hopeful that they were going to be the underpinnings of those potential CBDCs, even if they didn't like it. Let's make money on it, right? But now that
yeah,
that's looking like it's going to be more limited. In addition to the fact that XRP, aka Ripple, remember you have Ripple and you have XRP, two different sides of the same company. They're going to be IPOing at some point in the near future, and there's a likelihood that corporate money or large institutional money will likely flow more into the IPO side of the traditional finance side of the Ripple XRP group than into the market. So because of that, even if it's not true, I have to be aware a lot of people may be thinking that as well, which could limit capital flow in. However, regardless of my bias around this all, I'm also aware that there's been a fervent and never-endingly patient XRP community that is
yes.
like, let's let this mother go. Like, so there's no way to know. That's why
So,
you diversify, baby.
and that's why I'm saying I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, because for the longest time on TikTok, when I would talk about Bitcoin, people in the chats were like XRP, XRP. The community is so strong that now I'm sort of inclined to say, okay, maybe I'll buy a bit. But again, not financial advice. This is just something I'm seeing because you asked me. So I am thinking XRP. I want to DCA into Chainlink again. Obviously Polygon. I'm trying to think, Polkadot for me still a contender. But it's interesting because I'm thinking about XRP, which was not like me at all 3 years ago. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if I do buy into XRP, but something I'm looking at.
Well, I love having you on. I appreciate you being here. And we got some charts to look at. Everybody, make sure you head over to girl_in_the_verse. As you can see there, right there under her name. Make sure you follow her. We're going to be doing a lot more content together, bringing in different looks from different parts of the world and different parts of, because you're from Canada. So we're bridging gaps here as well. So big love to everybody out there. You got anything else you wanted to share before we wrap this segment up?
No, I'm good. I'm excited for your TA bit. So I'm just, I'm excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me, Kelly. And we'll do this again.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here. Now, everybody, make sure you are hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and dinging the bell. It's time to talk TA. Again, a special shout out and thank you to Melina at girl_in_the_verse to go give her a follow. Now, let's just start here. Everybody, I know you've seen it a ton, but we got to get it through our thick heads because every one of you is hard-headed as a mofo. You know how I know that? Because I'm hard-headed as a mofo. I'm not calling you out. I'm calling us out as humans. We have cognitive dissonance about what is possible, and we wonder why when it goes up, when it comes down, it wrecks us, and when it goes down, we sell and it goes up, and we get left, not buying. It's because we're not focused on the true things we need to be focused on. This is a bull trend. In bull trends, if we come over here, let's type in Kelly Kellum market cycle cheat sheet. So let's see, pull this up, boom, right here. This is a post that I did many, many moons ago. But what we're seeing here, this is what we need to be aware of. And this happens on all time frames, the macro, the midterm, and the micro. We're most concerned with the macro in terms of how this market's going to go if we want to make money. If we want to lose money and donate our money to other people that have a boat and help them buy their second and third and fourth and fifth boat, then we are hyper-focused on the micro. If you cannot think in market cycles on multiple different time frames, you will not do well in this market. We are in this trend right here. This trend. I'm going to put a copy of this. You can basically download this or screenshot it. There's the link. I just shared it in the live chat. But this is what we're looking at. We had the bottom. This was at FTX capitulation, the chop, and then the breakout. This is the establishment of the bull market, this pullback and the basically holding at a higher low at this previous range high area. This is that level. Then we had that sort of chop around 25,000. We moved up. We're somewhere in these ranges right here, probably around, and this isn't going to be exact. This is a schematic of how market cycles work. We're looking for these buy opportunities until ultimately we want to de-risk and start to take profits, somewhere in this region here, right? So when we're looking at this, when we're looking at it on a chart, where the heck is my chart at? When we're looking at this on a chart, what do we see? This was that FTX capitulation, the move up, the move down, that first establishment of the bull trend. And then we're looking for these opportunities along the way. Those that are looking at the data, not hyper-focused on the price, not looking at a 7-minute chart going, oh my God, it's just a never-ending bear market. It's because you're looking at the wrong time frame, my friend. When we're looking at this like this, 3-day, just isn't even a weekly, just a 3-day chart, we see hyper bullish chart. And within this area right here, this area right here, and this area right here is what wrecks people that are not looking at strategy. So let's look at this, and we're going to look at a couple altcoins as well. Just zooming into, let's go to the 4-hour chart. Now that we know the macro trend is bullish, now we can go to the midterm time frame and see we're trading in a range here and actually still holding at this level, which is still a much higher low from these two ranges here. Incredibly bullish. If we lose this, it's not the end of the world. The price, that means we have this level right here to contend with. Why is this random level here? Because we have this line drawn to this line here, projecting this level, which still would result in a higher low at these levels. And this would be coming down here to the 62, 63K region, similar to the chart here that I've had drawn out for quite some weeks now, showing this a different look with different patterns drawn. You need to have multiple charts with different lenses on them. And this shows, not only suggests, it shows the level that if we do drop, because look, even on this much smaller time frame, we are in a downtrend. Up, rejection, 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 rejection. This is just with price action and trend lines. So let's go ahead and turn on some moving averages. Let's turn on the volume as well. Now we have these red boxes and green boxes. These are order blocks. All they are, essentially, it shows you where there is a lot of liquidity interest in the order books. People actually putting orders in the order books with large amounts and large groups of them at certain price levels. So it tells you where there's liquidity interest at price levels. And look at this. So we established an order block. We came up, tapped that down. Now we established an order block right at where the rejection was on this trend line. And now we tried to come back up into it. Now we have the descending trend line as well as the order block. So we have two confluent areas of resistance right here. This does not mean we're not going to break through this at some point. This is just showing you basically the outline of what the data is under the chart rather than looking at the price. This gives you more context as to why it's not just breaking through. Now, where we're sitting right now, we can see on a traditional TA perspective without any indicators, just looking at price action, we're starting to form something that is actually quite bullish. That is a downward trajectory that's starting to slope a little bit, starting to slope a little more. This is known, it's starting the formation of a potential rounding bottom as this momentum is getting weaker and weaker to the downside. As it stands right now on the 4-hour chart, we still have a higher low. If we can maintain this and basically chop into here and then break out, this would be ultimately the most bullish setup that is forming right now because it's starting to form across time, this momentum shift. If the price action comes down and loses this level, then we're coming down into this level as this next level. This would start to reshape the potential near-term bullish impact. Now, remember, we have a macro inverted head and shoulders that has been forming here for all the way since back here, March 10th. March 10th, shoulder, head, shoulder. If we can maintain this not dropping, remember we had that mark on the chart about 63K. This would still be well in the context of being in inverted head and shoulders. If we start to break below this, then this is more likely than not, you're invalidating this sort of midterm macro inverted head and shoulders. So let's see how this plays out. But as it stands right now, We're watching all that data that we talked about earlier on in the stream with the capital flow kind of coming out, but it's back at that level that it resets regularly. We're also looking at, long-term holders selling, basically taking some profit at this level. It looks like we had that move, and currently it looks like it subsided quite a bit. So maybe that's getting to the point of wrapping up. We also have through the end of the month, we may have a little bit of choppiness through the end of the month, but once this Fed, basically the Fed liquidity, money in the market comes back, that is fuel for the fire. If you want this fire to burn, you got to give it some fuel. So right now, we should be remarkably impressed as bulls or just crypto speculators or just hopeful life changers in the crypto market. We should be excited that this market with fuel coming out is still simmering right here with some hot coals. You don't have to relight it because it's not coming down like this. This is still percolating right here. It just needs a little bit more fuel. That fire gets lit and we take off. That's what we're looking for, everybody. That's what we're waiting on. And that's why it's so important right now to be patient, because this is setting up for some absolute magic. We got about 200 people in the room and only 68 of you have mothers that raised you right. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. Let's talk altcoins. What is going on in the altcoin market right now? Well, Ethereum, we talked about this yesterday. Let's get down to the 4-hour time frame. We have a bit of a basically falling, broadening wedge in here. The most bullish case on this would be holding essentially where we're at, which is essentially right about this midway line, roughly about the midway line of this broadening wedge here. If we can hold here, push up, chop in here, and do something like this, this ultimately would be incredibly bullish. This could be the last washout before we actually get that release to the upside, because we've already kind of had this sort of attempt to break lower, and essentially regionally it's basically a double bottom here, giant W formation with a little bit, people get a little overheated, so they wash those last players out. If we can hold this zero line, that would be wonderful. But let's look at what the data says. Double click here. Okay, stochastic still looking a little overheated. We're on the 4-hour chart, angled down. However, the RSI looks like it's bottoming and may be rotating back to the upside. So we need to get a little bit deeper lens on this. On the 2-hour chart, what do we got? So on the 2-hour chart, we can see this price action pulling down is already somewhat played out. We can also see it in the candles themselves. Giant bearish engulfing candle, meaning the candle is much larger than the candle before it. The bears took over this narrative. Now the bears are getting a little weaker. How do I know that? Because the candle body is much smaller. The momentum to the downside started to subside. We have about another, we have another hour and a half of this, but if this candle holds something like this, this is a sign as it's coming into that 50% sort of range that the momentum is getting weaker as it's coming in. Similarly, we can see the stochastics have started to round out. The RSI is starting to round out, but then there's a conflicting signal. There's a lot riding on this move right now, because the bears are getting weaker. The bulls are defending the area, yet there's still money flow, still kind of expanding negatively, meaning there's still money coming out. So let's get a little bit tighter. Let's go in the 1-hour chart. Okay, on the 1-hour chart, now we see the winds of change are here. The winds of change are here in that we've had this money flow flip positive back here. And as this is basically this fall that we were talking about, we're getting selling pressure, but the money flow is still technically positive, but it's sort of, it's not moving, which is why this went from blue to gray. But we're seeing a lot of sell pressure in that these momentum candles turned red, meaning there's more sell pressure than normal. I guarantee if we turn on this BitLab intelligence, some of these candles will be teal, which means, or purple when it's coming down. So wow. So surprisingly, let's see, is this on? Yeah. Okay. So for some reason, no. So we're not getting a hell of a lot. So if these candles turn purple, that would mean that there's a lot of sell pressure. Like for instance, we see right here on this big drop. So we're not getting an inordinate amount of sell pressure, just more sell pressure than normal in the momentum waves right here. But The volume is dropping off here. The sell pressure is dropping off. But we see this big move to the downside on the VWAP. This feels to me more like a washout before sort of support in this region and then a move back up. This is sort of compounded by the fact that the price action came down to the weekly VWAP and the momentum is stopping here, which is, I feel like, if I had to look at this just from my experience, in a day or two's time, we're going to see the price action come down as we just saw and try to break below this weekly VWAP. It's going to end up being a wick and coming back up and testing back up here in the $3,600, the $3,700 range, trying for that breakout if we can hold this zone. Now, there's a lot riding on everything going on right now. There is still a lot of different economic things going on this week, a lot of Fed speakers this week, and obviously coming into the end of a quarter where there's options, where there's futures, where there's derivatives on, in terms of the CME futures on Bitcoin and what's going on within also forecasting if this market is going to go higher in July, or the expectation of it is, then we have to remember there's a hell of a lot of traditional asset players in the space now that when they see the likelihood of huge impact bullishly in the near future, they actually can exercise market moves that can commit retail to going short to give those better options, to give those better entry points before the market absolutely rockets higher. So that's what I'm paying attention to as we're coming into the end of June. And remember, we have not looked at this chart in some time. Let's come back let's go to the daily. We're going to look at the weekly chart here and just notice, let's turn off the indicators here. Actually, let's look at this. On the weekly chart, look at that. The trend signal line, we are testing this once, twice right now. Sitting right here on the precipice of what we saw here was a big move to the upside. But if we come out here to the monthly chart and realize, look at that giant bull flag also on the monthly. And if we go out to the, 2-month chart, we had the attempt to break down on this 2-month chart, but the bulls on the macro chart, the bulls are showing the intent to go down here. Sorry, the bears are the intent to go down here, and the bulls are disregarding this. If we can close this as a green candle, in this case on my channel, on my charts, it's white. If we can close this like this, or even higher, then this sort of reversal candle is essentially disregarded, and we can then look to the bullish narrative dominating in the coming month. So things are looking incredibly bullish here, incredibly bullish. And then we look at things like near. Let's go down to the 4-hour chart. Near, this giant broadening wedge, falling broadening wedge. We talked about this the other day. And this found support down here, came all the way up to this descending trend line. And again, similar to what we just saw on Ethereum, this is having a rejection. This is that reversal candle, similar like we just saw in Bitcoin. It is doing that. But however, if we can hold in this region where all of this chop was, this is also above that midline, which is essentially the middle line of this, meaning the bulls are more interested in maintaining this high and tight up near this resistance level. If we can hold anywhere in this region, even down here to the 487 region, this ultimately is very bullish. And remember, these broadening wedges tend to break out bullish. So let's allow the shakeouts to happen and use them to our advantage, because you and I, we're not going to be attacked by these potential bearish emotions in the chart that are trying to trigger people. We're here to make some money. Kevin Svensson in the chat, Mr. Kevin, you and I, we got to do a stream here today or tomorrow. Let's drop some alpha for some people. I'll hit you up after the show. This is one of my favorite analysts in the space. I actually learned an incredible amount of TA from him back in he's one of the first crypto YouTubers, and I value his opinion very highly. He and I have been doing stuff for a couple of years online, but we actually got to meet at Consensus, and we decided we're going to be doing some stuff together because we're on the same page here. Now, looking at Injective as well. Injective, look at this. I mean, this is a coin I think is going to do absolutely incredibly in this bull market, but right now is a time that it's shaking people out. We had this massive impulse to the upside. if this almost looks like a lame, I'll call it like a lame Head and Shoulders, little baby shoulder, giant double top as a head, and then crooked sort of Hashimoto shoulder here. Very similar structure to Head and Shoulders. And do I think we're going to break down all the way like this? You know, basically measuring this roughly to the head. Do I think we're going to get this move? No, I don't think Injective is going to come all the way down here to 856. This is why, if you're learning TA from anybody and they don't point out that context is everything, if you measure, for instance, Head and Shoulders, okay, you draw a target. If you are counting on this target to absolutely come down and get here, there's a high likelihood you're not going to get that. Why? Because the context of this market is up. This is a bullish trend. Now, could we get this? We have to be prepared for it. Yes. But this is why it's important to ladder your entries and ladder your exits. So if this is a case of a potential target, then what do? We come here, we do option F, or come over here, down here to the Fibonacci, same thing. I like the quick keys. Measure that up and we can look, okay, let's get some context. Well, wow, look at this. The price currently is actually testing right in the golden pocket. Now, if price does have another move down, rather than put all my eggs in the basket, I'm buying when it gets to this target because that's going to be the best ever. Well, you're probably going to get wrecked because the market sees you seeing this target. It's like Ben Stiller says, I see you, seeing me, seeing you, seeing me. This is what you have to realize. We're in a bullish trend. We have a target for potential pullback, but on the broader context, looking at this Fibonacci move here, we see the 786 is perfectly in line with roughly about where this chop zone is. So this tells me that more likely in this bullish trend, as long as we don't get a massive black swan, that we can layer in, and in this case, we have the golden pocket here, which is already an entry if you had you map that out. And then also here, down here in this $14 to $16 range where this 786 is. And that's if the market continues to pull back, right? And this is why it's important to have dry powder on the sidelines. As it stands right now, this could be a washout here before we come back up. Now, if you want to get the most local target, we see the price action moving down. We'll see this little stopping point, but we have this bit of a bear flag here. So let's see what the measurement from there is down. Let's see where that goes to. That goes to where? Right at, look at that. The bear flag goes right at the 786, which is the middle of that target we just talked about. Now, if the market can kind of consolidate here, and then we push back up into the zone, I'm looking for a break above this, a retest, and then a continuation. We are in the ultimate, most frustrating part of this market. It is a dream, and Kevin Svensson can tell you, it is a dream to trade when you are in this part of the market right here, where it is just, okay, you got up, right? Or if you come back over here to Bitcoin, and let's go right here. When you have, like we saw in 2017, rise, retrace, continuation, retrace, continuation, retrace, continuation, retrace, continuation. Why is that? Because when you understand the map, you can dominate. It's these part of the interim market cycles, because remember, there are market cycles within market cycles. Macro uptrend. Within this macro uptrend, we have entire market cycles. Market cycle low, bull trend, distribution, bear trend. End of market cycle. Accumulation, uptrend, distribution, bear trend. So you have to understand that. When you realize that, we have some great opportunities that are brewing right now. Continuing on with Link, looking at Link right here. Very similar to what we just saw in Injective. It's trying to telegraph a lot of weakness, but we're holding above this structure. There's so much institutional interest and participation in Chainlink. There's so much going on with Chainlink. If this loses this $13 to $12 range, God dang it, I'm going to be out there shaking a leg on the center of Main Street Avenue trying to figure out how to buy here at 11. If it goes low, I'm buying at 834. If it comes down to these levels, absolutely. But this right here looks to me similar. Remember with Chainlink, it frustrated the shit out of everybody. Look at this. This is 534 days of chop before we finally moved up. And now we're sitting here getting a little bit of that chop sideways again. And we got now on the more local time frames, we have a falling, broadening wedge coming into known deep support. And so if we can break out of this, we still need to contend with clearing this level, $19 to $20. Once we clear $20, I think Chainlink is going to be absolutely ripping. Now, again, let's go ahead and take a look at DOT as well. DOT, before we go, is similar to what we just saw in Chainlink, similar to what we saw in Injective. A lot of the altcoins are going to feel like this right now. Giant head and shoulders here. Shoulder, head, shoulder. We also have shoulder, head, shoulder. We also have shoulder, head, shoulder. We also have shoulder. So many bearish reversals on this. So many so that it leads me to believe that they're trying to wash some suckers out. So I do think that there's a strong likelihood that we can get a move to the downside here on DOT. Is it going to come down here and go to $2.89? I do not think that's in the cards. It's possible. I'm looking more likely as a washout move on DOT, for instance. Come on. Coming down, let's go to the 4 hour. Coming into this zone right here. I'm just doing a line to make it quick because we're going to have to get off the stream here in a second. Washout down in, God dang it, get over there. There we go. Does anybody know why when you click on the screen, sometimes it shoots to the left? I don't know. Teach a brother. Help a brother out. So this, to me, would be an absolutely amazing buy for DOT coming into the $5 range if we actually break down to this point. Now, DOT, I've been breaking it down on the BitLab Academy videos here. If you go to videos, some of the stuff here with the Polkadot 2.0 upgrades, some of the stuff they're doing in their ecosystem, the hydration decks I broke down the other day, incredible new decks. There's so much going on in the DOT ecosystem. I'm looking, if we do get lower prices, I'm absolutely a buyer. You all know I rotated some of my Cardano into DOT. And if we get lower prices, I'd be happy to DCA into that. If we're able to find support here, then the next level up that we're really watching is this 620, which is not much higher than where we're at, but this is essentially the lows of a lot of ranges in here. See all these lows, bounce, 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 bounce at the bottom, bounce at the top, bounce at the bottom, bounce at the top. This range is going to be important to get through if we're able to push up into it. That starts at about 610 up to about 640. It's going to be a choppy range. If we can slice right through that or work our way through it, it's going to be deep support to then continue up. That's what I'm seeing in this market right now. That's what I'm feeling. Big love to every single one of you out there. I love you. I appreciate you. I just want to remind you, if you're trading, if you're in this market, if you're trying to protect your future, make sure you use a smart cold storage solution. My favorite is Arculus, channel sponsor, channel partner, the best cold storage solution out there, multi-factor authentication. Get your keys off your phone. They're stored separately in this. You have it on your in your wallet. You have it one tap deal here where you can one tap trade swap and secure your crypto. Biometrics. So, my favorite cold storage solution out there. Get Arculus.com and use code LAB10, the numbers 10, LAB10 for 10% off. And again, everybody, make sure if you want to get involved, we got this great deal going on at BitLab Academy right now to get involved in our Discord, to get involved in our member streams, to get involved with all the different signals and setups and breakdowns and alpha in there. Use that code, use that link right you see at the bottom of the screen right now, lab.bitlabacademy.com/deal. You get 15 days free. You can cancel anytime, and it's a 33% discount past that for the rest of the life of your account. I love you guys. That's all I got. We're going over to the DGen Den right now. Everybody, let's flood in there. Let's show some love. Let's drop some. Let's see how many lab coats we can get in the DGen Den right now with Taco. We're heading there right now. Stay on the stream. It's heading there. I love you guys. That's all I got. Adios. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming.